My name is James C. Johnson, and I served as the first black city manager in the United States. I was city manager of the city of Compton from 1968 to 1972. I was born in Carrollton, Mississippi in 1934. And at about a year of age, my father was told that he had to get out of town before sunup, as many blacks were told in those days. And we moved to Memphis, Tennessee. I have no fond memories of living in that area. Prior to high school, I worked several jobs, worked at grocery stores, delivering groceries, at drive-in restaurant, waiting on cars, eventually raised the money to buy a suit. And in 11th grade, I found this crazy place called California that said that if you lived in the state for a year, you could go to college free. So I moved to California to attend Thomas Jefferson High School in Los Angeles. When I was at UC Berkeley, I was very involved in student activities, so I got some competitiveness in my bones from that. I turned towards public administration. I had a fabulous professor named Albert Leposky. He taught public administration and political science courses, but I think he got me interested in government and government administration. He also was my master's thesis chair, and community councils was the basis of my master's thesis. I was a black person that pushed black activities, but I wasn't in any organizations other than the black church and black fraternity and sororities. I stayed out of the more activistic groups. I was a member of the NAACP, and that was about it. I didn't really come to know what a city manager was until I was working for the county administrator in LA County. I was in the probation department. I did at least one budget, if not two. And I found out about this place where all the decisions got made. I said, I need to work there. So I started trying to figure out, how do you get in the CAO's office? The chief administrative office was fairly large. The supervisors met once a week, and we would either sit in the conference room in our quarters and listen to the meetings, or we could go and sit in the meetings, and whether we had something on the agenda or not. And so that we learned by observation. The CAO was part of a group that was interested in marketing the county services. And so if you were interested in forming a new city, then they would help. As it turned out, once you create a city, you had to create a manager. I met some fellows through a fraternal group, and this guy was on the city council in Compton. He says, well, we're looking for a city manager. I said, you are? He says, sure we are. And so then ultimately I became the city manager as a result of that. It was hectic. It was a lot of fun. It had its scared moments.
Let's start dealing with the community controller police. Power to the people.
The Black Panthers were raising hell in Oakland, and our first cousin was in Compton trying to raise hell. Sometimes we had to be concerned about which side of the street you were on. But we eventually got through without any major concerns. We were the three musketeers of all time: the city manager, the president of the community college, and the director of the city school system. They were part of the application we put together. And we ended up being selected, and LA was told they didn't make it. I think it helped bring the community together. I mean, it highlighted how a black community could come together and plan policy changes by different jurisdictions, all pointing towards a similar, if not the same, goal. When I was on my first ICMA trip, that I got the call from my assistant saying that the council had agreed to rubbish collection fee increases while I was away. The guy was a thief, and he would bring his little petty gifts into the council meeting and pass them out to the council members. That pulled me out of there. I happened to be having a drink with John Taylor at the time, and John said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I don't know, but I'm not going to work there." He said, "I'll make you a job offer." I said, "Well, sure, I'd love to come work for you." I didn't know him from Adam. After I left Compton, I thought this was really a big bridge builder. If I could do well enough in Kansas City that I could move to a larger city, hopefully in the end being the administrator of a larger city. I was overjoyed about it, and I was going to get to know a different part of the country. Having a real great partner, there was far less stress in decision-making than one would normally expect as rapidly as I was making decisions in those days. I sensed some of the conflict in Kansas City when I got there, which I didn't realize was there. There was a conflict between the mayor and the city manager. John said, "Your job is to talk to the mayor." And the mayor says, "I want to talk to you at 6:30 in the morning." What? So I would have to have breakfast with the mayor once a week. And it seemed to have been working fine. I got to be the chief of sorts when the airport was open, and chief of sorts when the stadium was open, so it was that fun stuff too. It was a struggle getting started. I mean, a real struggle. But having weathered that, I was able to put together enough things that I not only was getting by, but I was getting far ahead of where I was. I missed being in city management. You're doing the people's business, and you have to do it with all your might, all your courage, and all your commitment when you're doing it. I still think that's what we want out of public servants. In public service, you're serving the public, and you do it with all your wisdom and all of your strength.
You paved the way for many of us to follow.
I'm glad I did my bit.